Hey guys.
Welcome to Photographers Unveiled. I'm Ashley B.
And I'm Ashley K.
It's nice to see ya.
Thea.
See ya. See ya. It's nice to see ya. It's nice to unveil ya.
We're unveiling things.
We are unveiling things. If you are new here, we have started talking about something that we love at the beginning of the episode and then something we learned. And then we will get into the meat of the episode, which today we're going to talk about storytelling in your wedding photography, how to do it better.
Yeah.
How to do it, because nobody really teaches you how to do it when they give you a camera. So we're going to talk to you about literally what we do, how we do it, what we've learned, people have educated us on, etc. It's not all trial and error.
No.
But we'll talk about it. So let's start with some of the personal stuff.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's exciting.
It is exciting. What is going on in your life that you're loving right now? What are you obsessing over?
Sun exposure.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
How do I feel about sun exposure?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm obsessed with sun exposure right now.
Me too.
Normally I'm not. I'm like in a depressive hidey hole.
Yes. But with
At
the
least the last-
season changing,
Yeah.
it's like you feel like you want it bad.
Oh, I want it badly.
Mhm.
The sun's great. It's
Yeah.
making me want to be more motivated and up and outside. And not even just the sun though, like the temperatures changed.
Yes.
And we all flock outside
Yeah.
on like the first nice day. And it's really maybe not even that nice, but to us it's nice.
Oh, yeah. This is the first episode. Actually, no. I have that like really nasally congestion from allergies right now. And I don't think I've ever recorded one episode without feeling like I had to breathe through my mouth.
Really? I think there was one. 'Cause
One.
You
Have I had
explicitly
one?
said
Have I
it.
had one?
You were like, it doesn't sound bad, I think, at all.
Yeah, you edit these. You would know.
No, I really, I listen to you in person.
Oh, good.
You
you.
sound completely normal, except that.
That's the only bad thing about sun exposure and the cancer. But
Allergies.
yeah.
That's what you mean. The allergies are getting to you, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, outdoors does give lots of allergies, especially in the spring to a lot of folks.
Yeah.
I'm obsessing over events right now.
What? Oh, like
Like
community?
Community events.
Yeah.
Like obsessing over it.
Yeah, once a week would be your thing.
Oh, I think it's even been like 2 or 3 times a week the last couple weeks. It's been crazy.
Oh my gosh. Is that ideal, or do you want to make it like a routine? Like I go to a hockey game or go to a baseball game once a week.
I want to do something like that
Like how many times?
during the week.
Yeah.
And then I would like to also do something
During the weekend.
during the weekend.
I love that. Twice a week.
Twice a week with people,
Yeah.
ideally. So yeah, like we did a hockey game last week.
That was so much fun.
So much
I don't know
fun.
if like every hockey game is like the Wichita Thunder games.
I've heard when you go to like a professional, it's like we're like the
NHL?
minor or something.
Yeah.
I don't really know what it would be, but
Nah.
when you go to like a legit game, it's like insane.
I cannot wait.
They were talking about it at book club yesterday because I also joined a
Wow.
book club.
Yeah.
Because
look
all
at
this
you.
all this stuff, I don't know what's happening inside of me, but
The sun is out.
the sun is out. So it's been incredible. And so we did a hockey game, and then we went out with our friends we both went out dancing on Saturday.
Ashley went out with her friends to a bar called Brickyard. It's like an outdoor concert venue, but very small.
Like live music.
And then I went to a little tiny Mexican restaurant.
That turns into a bar at night.
Yeah, that turns into like a little dance club.
Yeah. So both of us saw cover bands on Saturday.
Yeah.
It was really fun. We both had a lot of fun.
Yes.
And then I've been taking my animals. This is not community related, but
Yeah.
it's like kind of
To
in
get
the same
ticks.
to get ticks, dude. What in the heck? So there's that sun exposure problem.
Yeah, bugs.
Also, the ticks are supposed to be like really bad this year because we didn't
No.
have like a deep freeze or anything. Yeah, like, and I'm not kidding. That one day had like 9, and then the week prior had gone out and also got them, but we thought that they were only that bad because we were by a lake. So this time we didn't go to a lake because we wanted to avoid the ticks, but no. Tall grass and ticks right now they're very good friends.
Like, yes, you just have to brush up against the wrong bush.
Yeah.
That's what
And
I
the
did.
wrong bush is every bush.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
crazy right now.
That
so.
sucks. I bet poison ivy is going to be so much worse this year too then.
Mhm.
Fun for
Mhm.
me. Ashley's not allergic, but I
No.
legit have been hospitalized.
Ashley breathes.
Yeah.
And she breaks out.
The wind blows. I got it.
Yeah. Sessions are the worst for you in the
Yes.
freaking summer.
And for anybody else listening that does have allergic reactions to poison ivy, it does bloom in May and October. So
Is that when it's the worst?
yes, it blooms. So it's like really active.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
That's the
remember.
only months I ever get it.
Weird. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also never had to
Yeah,
worry
don't
about
have
it.
it. Lucky you.
Yeah. But then we also went to a baseball game.
Yeah. And that looked really, that's like my jam right there.
Yeah.
The sound of a wooden bat hitting a ball is like, oh my gosh. It's actually my favorite sound. It's in my yearbook.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Yep.
hold on. Have you been to a Wind Surge game yet?
No, I haven't been to like,
Why?
why? Because I haven't, you invited me and I've actually been invited, but it never works out. Like it's weekday nights and I'm usually scheduled for meetings.
Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could go, but you'd just be maybe a smidgen bit late.
Yeah, I'd be like 40 minutes late. 45.
Unless you did the call here.
Oh. We might be going to a baseball game.
'Cause I think we still
Zach
have,
said
I
he
still
wants to
could get
go.
another seat next to us. There was the whole row was open.
Oh, okay. I'll ask Zach. Zach?
I'll ask Zach.
Zach.
So anyways, that's what I'm obsessing over lately. It's like all this like
that.
random
and the
people
smells
stuff.
and like the people.
Yeah.
Every little sensory is like,
Yeah. Which is, it's just weird. I think I'm just weirded out because I've been like kind of anti-friend, anti-people for the last couple years. I think like,
COVID PTSD.
yeah, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of like coming out of it. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't freak me out when people are sick anymore.
Yeah, no.
And also I think the fact that you're the lead shooter and it's like no big deal if I show up or not
No.
anymore as much.
Nobody
And
cares.
nobody knows if I'm coming.
kidding,
I
but-
just like show up, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't know who their second's going to be. It's just, they're not sure.
Mhm.
That pressure off of me has made like my life already substantially greater. As we're sitting here talking to wedding photography people, and I'm like, I love not having the pressure. Ashley loves weddings.
I love the pressure.
I love weddings. The pressure post COVID really did me in. But pre-COVID, it was great.
Yeah. I mean, without COVID, maybe you wouldn't be going so hard on the community events now.
Yeah.
You never know.
I'm loving it. And I like making space for like the podcast and like this separate type of community. So
Mm-hmm.
all really good things.
Yes.
So what did you learn this week?
We talked about this in brainstorming. I cannot remember what we said.
We
What
have
was
to
it?
brainstorm or else we're just going to sit here and be like, while we think about
As we still go,
it. No. Last week we talked about like how to fall in love with weddings again and tell larger stories in your images.
Mhm.
And we talked about posting. It was brief. Do you remember?
No.
We have been kind of in a posting slump. And I think we all get
me
there,
out.
right?
Call me out. Yep.
I know. You're supposed to be in charge of it.
Yeah.
You're doing so good though. I had seen in a group that I was in. I used to do a podcast called The Bridal Breakdown. We're kind of on a indefinite pause at the moment, but it was tailored to brides to have more intentional weddings. And with that, I joined a lot of like planning groups on Facebook. And one of them I had just seen during a scroll session. She said, my feelings are really hurt.
Mm.
My photographer hasn't posted my wedding and she's posted a lot of others, but hasn't posted mine. Like it's kind of making my feelings hurt. I just wanted to talk about it. And there were hundreds of comments of people sharing the same sentiment that their feelings were also hurt, but they got over it, or they just had to say, I know my photographer's busy and there's no way they can post every wedding. And someone made a valid point that like this girl's wedding was only like a week or two prior and they have like a queue of weddings. Like they just might not be there yet, right?
Yeah.
To like make her feel a little better. But I think the overarching theme was people really felt like if their wedding wasn't posted, their wedding was like inadequate.
Yep.
It wasn't good enough. They weren't good enough. They're not pretty. They had like these intrusive thoughts playing through their brain over and over and over again. And while it's not necessarily our purpose to make sure everybody feels okay, because it's not intentional, like we never posted every wedding.
Yeah.
Like we're terrible at posting. And I feel like a lot of us are that way because we are doing all the other things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think remembering that it's something that makes people feel hurt
Yes.
can bring like a bit of perspective. So I shared this with Ashley.
Yes. And I have a question for you that I want you to answer honestly, just for other people that might be having the same question. What would you say to the person that wants to post on their feed what they want to attract, which might not be that person's wedding? Would you say there's moments in that wedding?
That's a really good point.
I
Because that's
know.
also something they say is like, don't share what you don't want to shoot.
Right?
I think moments is a great solution.
Okay.
Like posting some more of like maybe the candids, or like if there's a section of that wedding where it was what you want to attract.
Mhm.
I'm just going to go far back to when we started, and it was the burlap and lace.
Mm.
Right. It was very DIY, which we love a good DIY in a wedding now. I mean, it's just very different because it's more personal. But then the only thing that existed on Pinterest was burlap and lace. So everything was burlap and lace and mason jars.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't want to shoot any more
And
burlap and
bunting
lace.
flags.
So many bunting flags. I forgot about the bunting flags made of burlap.
Yeah. And twine.
Oh my God. Yeah. And baby's breath, which has made a comeback. But
Yes.
so we didn't want to shoot those anymore. And in order to share still a wedding that maybe is burlap and lace, you could look for like more intimate moments, more like,
Subject focused.
yeah, less of the aesthetic
Aesthetic.
of that day and more of the emotion of that day. I feel like if you post often and post everything, A, you're being inclusive. B, you're actually showing what you're shooting.
Yep.
I don't know how to broach this topic tastefully, except like people's feelings are hurt and people pay attention.
Yes.
People can feel like their wedding is inadequate because they might not feel the prettiest, feel as pretty as someone else, or they might not feel like their wedding is as cool
Mm.
because, you know, maybe it's not their
Double.
self-esteem, but it's their, like, they really just, I remember somebody a long time ago, I don't know if you recall this, but somebody had booked us. They kept saying, and so this is how you knew it was like an insecurity of theirs, that they were afraid that we weren't going to think that their stuff was cool enough.
Oh.
Do you remember this?
Slightly.
But it was sweet. It was just like, I hope, like, I know that this isn't like a cool wedding, you know?
Uh-huh.
I know this isn't a cool wedding, but I'm so glad you're here. And I'm like, oh my God, no, your wedding is good enough the way that it is.
Well, when she got married, I do feel like cool weddings were like all the rage. And then intention came later.
I think you're right. So you've been posting.
Yes.
Tell me about your strategy and how you're going about trying to share everything.
Mhm.
It also gives you a lot more content to post because you're not being so curated.
Yes.
Tell me about your strategy.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, Ashley and I decided on a whim that we really liked intimate weddings, which in our vocabulary dictionary, that means like 100 or less. So not super duper intimate, but like manageable with one photographer. The first thing that I did was I went through our galleries and I kind of went through the one and picked the ones that I remember had a lot of great moments where it was intimate with their family members. So, or just like little tiny things. Like I picked the post I did today. Kayla and John, love them. We've actually worked with them several times after their wedding for like family photos and such. And I really thought their day was so cool. And they had these like little moments like with their family. Like one of the pictures, it was like this little boy, which I think was their ring bearer, and he was arm wrestling the groom at the head table. And I was like, when do you see that? That's such a precious little moment where he's going to be 18, that little boy. And he's going to look back and be like, oh my gosh, wow, that's my uncle, John, or whatever. I don't even know if they're nephews, but whatever. And so I picked that wedding. And then from there, I was just like so excited to find more of those little moments. So I just kind of dug for a little bit, grabbed them all. And then I added them into Scroll, which is a great app for the carousels on Instagram posts. So you can post like as many photos as you want.
Which they also say those carousel posts and posting in the feed
Yeah.
is going to be better
Good.
than Reels moving forward.
Dope. Good.
Although I do feel like you should still kind of try to do like dabble in both, but
yeah,
we've all neglected the feed for a while. They are going to start prioritizing photo posts, or so I've heard.
Oh, good. Well, and Scroll just gives you that extra stretch in creativity and like making it feel more like an album. So I feel like it just feels more documentary. Documentary.
Documentary. Sounds
That's
like a sickness.
yeah, right.
Documentary.
Because I love like landscape photos being displayed with white space around it.
Well, and that's because landscape photos don't ever those don't share well on
No.
the gram. You don't want to share
Yeah.
a landscape photo. Only share squares or vertical.
Portrait. Yeah.
Yeah, and so in order to show off a really epic landscape image, I feel like scroll is the way to go.
It is.
Or unfold
Yes.
in some capacity. Either one of those apps are fun, but scroll's fun because the scroll. You
Mhm.
scroll and the image continues. It's
Yeah.
very fun.
And I highly recommend you getting on Scroll and making your own templates. So getting really comfortable with how the app works and like playing around with that, because that's when it got fun for me, was when I just started designing my own scrolls, carousels. And then I have In Preview, which is another great app. It's like $24.99 a year. And I didn't even buy that on a business expense. I paid my own money for that.
You're like, I want this.
Yeah, because I
I've done
already
that
had
too.
it for my personal account, but to add another business account, I had to pay for it. So I was like, dude, definitely. So In Preview is just like any other, what would you say?
Planning app.
Planning app. Yep. There's a few other good ones. Plan is also good. PLANN. We used to use that.
Planoly later.
Planoly later. Yep. There's a bunch. But I really like In Preview. And you can schedule, make your captions, save them for later. And I basically just add 7 pictures a week into In Preview. So that's a week's worth of posting once every day. And then I will make the carousels whenever I feel like it. So whenever I'm inspired, or just late at night, or in the bathroom, like I told Ashley this morning.
I know. I was like, when are you posting? And she's like, when I'm going to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, okay. My brain literally was like, wow, she's walking on the treadmill.
And I was like, I don't walk on the treadmill. Yeah. So that's kind of the way I do it. And it hasn't been stressful. I mean, it has only been like 3 days, but
Yeah, we'll
feels
check back in on that one.
Please do.
So what I've been noticing, because I posted a few on my personal Instagram, which is also how I know my mental health is getting better.
Yeah,
know?
I have been posting on my personal too every day.
Yeah, it's weird. Although mine's not every day, but it feels better being like creative or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've noticed
I agree.
every time I post, I lose followers.
Me and Ashley both have lost like 7 or 8.
I think I might be
How do
more
you
than that.
check? How do you check?
I think you can check going into the app.
This is not healthy.
I
Don't
actually
do this.
don't know if you can check if it's like a personal account.
Okay, go.
No, because there's no analytics.
Really.
That's healthy.
That is
Thank
healthy.
you.
Your
Thank you for that.
activity. Thank you for not telling me people hate me.
But I noticed it,
I
and
lost 6. No, I lost 7.
Yeah, I've been trying just not to look at that number, because I truly am posting for me.
Yeah.
Until I post. And then when I post, I care too much about the likes. And then I care about the fact that people are... I don't care that I'm not getting followers, because I'm not trying to get followers on my personal account at all. Like, I don't care if I get followers on my personal account. Period. That's not my goal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sharing for me. However, when I lose them...
That's a trigger.
It makes me feel like I'm inadequate. Or it makes me feel like I don't belong, or like what I shared offended people, even though like it's a picture of me and my dogs. I don't know, but that's like where my brain goes. It goes on this spiral of you're not good enough. Have you noticed that when you're posting
on personal?
On work, on K&B's account?
Oh, I have not looked at the followers, but I have noticed that in the past.
Yeah. It's so strange.
It is.
So I'm trying not to focus on followers, right? Like, that's not the goal here. The goal, I feel, on sharing. I feel like it's such a beautiful way to share a portfolio on Instagram as a photographer, and for like people to get to know you and what you're about.
Mm-hmm.
That it's so nice not to focus so much on that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to ignore when people unfollow. That's so hard on my psyche.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyways,
I wonder if they'll ever take away followers like they did likes.
I hope so. Why do I want to see how many people are being like? I don't know why that's beneficial. I guess it's beneficial for brands, but
Because we're in the Colosseum of Rome, and like, I don't know. It's so old school.
it's so weird. It's like, how many people show up for you? How likable are you? It's just a
I don't know, but we're all falling into the trap.
stupid contest.
It's okay, everybody. It's okay.
Sharing moments on Instagram. Let's circle back there.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about storytelling.
Yay.
And these are the moments and some things that you can do. So I am going to have my phone on me today because we took notes, and that way we're not all over the place, and we do hit the really important parts of it. And yeah, we'll talk about how you can tell a better story, how you can have a fuller gallery, how it can feel documentary, and you're taking photos that really matter.
Yes. Ready, set, go.
We mentioned a couple of tactics that you can do at the end of last week's episode. And those two things, do you remember what they were?
No.
Don't put your camera down.
Ever. You should not be swinging your arms around at all during a wedding day. You should always have your camera right up to your eye or in your hand ready to pull up as soon as a moment's happening. And by that time, it's too late. So you also have to anticipate with that camera for those moments.
Yeah. So we touched more on that. If you want more in depth, go listen to last week's episode. Moving on to a few other things that can help tell more impactful stories within images. There's a quote.
Oh, I love when you put quotes in here.
There's a quote by, I want to say his name is Robert Capa. C-A-P-A. You can look him up. Robert Capa. He was a war journalist. It is Capa. Yeah, he was a Hungarian-American war photographer and photojournalist. He's considered to be the greatest combat and adventure photographer in history.
Adventure photographer?
Yeah.
What a badass.
Yeah. He was born in 1913 and died in 1954. That was a very short life.
Aww.
So
we're still thinking about him.
We are. He left a mark. And one of the things that he said is if your pictures aren't good enough, it's because you're not close enough.
Yes. And when you read that, I was like, did we write this article? Because we talk about being close to our subjects all the time.
Yeah. And there's so much power in being close. Will you talk about whenever you went into that museum exhibit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You were there, I think.
I mean, probably, but I don't really remember.
Yeah. Okay. So there was an exhibit.
This is your spiel.
Yeah. I talk about this all the time because it's the only way that I can make sense to people that the electricity that you find in photos comes from how close you are. So I was at an exhibit. I don't know who I was with. It was either
probably
Ashley or
me.
Zach. And it was the Pulitzer Prize winning portraits blown up to high heaven. And they were all throughout the room. And you got to walk and look at each one of them through the years. And there was like a moment where you're just like, why? Why are these giving me chills? Why am I on the verge of tears? Why am I having such an emotional connection to these photos?
And it's one picture. Like, I mean, it's a bunch of pictures, right? But they're individual photos that have each won individual prizes.
Yes.
So that one photo is giving you
all of this.
Or each of them, I suppose.
Yeah,
but.
each of them. One in particular, though, it was a person, I believe it was a person that was burning alive, I would assume, for their rights. And the photographer that captured that moment had to have been so close to that person that their own hairs were singeing off. Like, they were not afraid to be in that close proximity. And I felt like the essence of that person. I felt the energy of that person. I felt everything in that moment. I felt like I was there. I felt like, it was so strong. It was like a magnet to that image. And that is what you can do on a wedding day by getting close. In a way, you're kind of invasive, but people forget you're there. Just get so close to them, have your wide angle lens on, and you're actually going to capture their essence. And it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if you picture shooting a 70 to 200 image, you know, the big time I use that is like down the aisle.
Yeah.
Right? Like try to get the tear.
Yeah.
However, when you picture that, all you've got in frame is that person.
Yeah.
One single person. No other storytelling characteristics in that image. It is literally just a person with an emotion. We don't know why they're crying.
What they're crying. Yep.
We know nothing else if that's a standalone picture. And really with good storytelling in your wedding photography, it's not necessarily about storytelling through the whole gallery, although that exists. It's also how you can do storytelling within single images.
Mm.
So when you use a 70-200, you're not getting any of those elements, those layers of the story that help to tell you in a single image what's happening,
Right.
telling you the multiple stories. He's experiencing this while she's walking down the aisle, while mom is also turned simultaneously, and you see mom's emotions.
Mhm.
Like all of these things are happening in this one frame
Yes. This
because if you were close up
right.
with a 35 millimeter, you can get those storytelling layers.
Yes.
Where with a 70-200, you don't get any of the layers necessarily. You could in like certain
If
circumstances,
you're far enough
right?
away and people are far enough away. I was just going to add to that. That's the reason why we shoot through people a lot. Like we're a lot of the times right behind somebody's shoulder. Because I love, for example, the shot of the groom seeing the bride walk down the aisle for the first time, and like the bride and the dad are like blurred out, but you can tell he's looking right at him.
It adds to this compelling story element, which also goes to the composition, which is the next thing to think about. But before we go to composition, so a second ago you talked about how you get really, really close up to them and you get kind of invasive, right? How do you do that in a way that is not shocking for people? Or there's, the groomsman that is in front of the camera and you're trying to shoot through him and he kindly gets out of the way thinking he's in your way. How do you prep them beforehand to make sure that they don't feel that way and they do forget you're there?
Yep.
How do you allow them to forget that?
2 things. Prepping them during their timeline call and letting them know how I shoot, my shooting style. It's not fly on the wall. And I tell them that. I say, have you ever heard of the fly on the wall approach? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, it's not that. And they crack a laugh because it's like, okay, so what is it then? Now I'm intrigued. And then I also tell them to relay the message. You got to tell your parents. You got to tell your friends. Like the photographer will be all around. Just ignore them. Then on the day of, you need to remind them again. So when you walk into a room, let's say the groomsmen suite. Hey, I'm here, but I'm not. Carry on. I'll guide you when I need you, but you guys are just going to hang out for a little bit and I'll be around. Nonchalant, walk in, say the words, and get to business.
And do you do that in the girls' room too?
The girls' room usually is slightly different in the fact that like everybody's really excited and they're saying hi, and then there will be one girl that like is like, oh, and I'm like, oh my gosh, don't worry, I'm here, but I'm not. Like I don't really have to go into it as much with the girls. They kind of understand. But if I feel like they don't, then yes.
Then you'll just prep them and be like, hey, if I get really close up, I'll be in and I'll be out.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
So that they know. And by your constant presence, they do start to like tune you out.
Yes.
Like their eyeballs literally like almost stop looking at you.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful because also then you don't put your camera up and they look at you to smile because they're like, that's what I'm supposed to do, right?
Right. Yeah. Grooms are worse than brides about that.
Yeah.
Grooms are the ones that are always like,
hello.
Hey. Oh, yeah.
Mom trained me to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I love that. So we've talked about being close. Get closer to your subject. If your photos feel like they're lacking energy, it's because you're not close enough.
And you want to have a wide angle lens for that. 24 to 35 is a great range.
Yes, totally. And like 35 is almost not always where I want it to be. Then we go to composition, which we kind of talked about with walking down the aisle. That's like you can try to compose the image to tell the story, right? You have the layers, different layers of people. But also another tool that is often crazy overlooked is Aperture. The beauty of staying away from 2.2, 1.8.
So pretty.
Yeah. No.
But are you telling good stories? Nah.
When everything is blurry, what kind of story are you telling?
No.
When you can't see anything.
No. And we see, our human eyeballs see in what? Aperture 8?
Yeah.
And so
if it's super sunny, our eyes see an 8.
8.
Yeah.
That is how you're going to have memorable, like memory triggering images.
Yeah, because your eyes don't, your eyes only see, and like, I think the lowest they see is around f2 equivalent. And that is only happening in the darkness.
Right. Yeah.
So in the brightness, when we shoot at 2.0 we're so going to offend people that are like, I love my, and I'm like, yes.
Oh yeah, me too,
beautiful.
girl. I shoot in 2.2 all day, but not for
if you're trying to do documentary, it's not it. Like
Mm-mm.
you won't look at any documentary. If you look up the beautiful documentary photos and you will never see that things are blurry.
No, nothing's below 5.
No. A really good challenge. One of your favorite weddings, you shot the entire thing except portraits at like f5. The thing with challenging yourself to go f5, like put one camera on f5 and then sling the other camera with like your portrait lens. Do like 24-70 f5 and don't let yourself go lower until it's necessary for light reasons. But you're going to see so many emotions in one image when you're shooting at f5. You're not just seeing that one solar subject. You're also going to see the side people and their reactions to things.
Yes.
You also will see other building blocks of a story, like more of the venue or something really far away that might be a welcome sign. There's like a welcome sign in the distance or cars pulling in. And then you see like these just boasting smiles from the couple and they're hugging somebody and you see cars driving in and you already see the story that people are arriving. F5 or up.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful way. And so now you get to thinking, well, Ashley, what if I'm shooting at f5, but there's really ugly things in the background? What do you do?
I take them out? Is that the right answer?
No.
I was about to say.
You can edit them out. You can edit them out. But also if there's something unsightly, like compose your image around it.
Yes. Bend down.
Like get a little lower.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Because if you're shooting everything at like this eye level with f8, there's not a lot of layers, right? But if you're tilting the camera a little bit up or down, then you have people in the bottom of the frame and people in the top of the frame and then people in the center of the frame and they're taking up the whole frame because there's a lot going on from that tilt.
Yes.
Than just being at eye level and everybody's the same height and you're missing a lot of emotions and things there. You know what I mean? So you can be creative with your composition and your placement to cover up things that are maybe unsightly.
Love that. That's a much better answer than mine.
Edit it out.
Yeah, I know. I knew it wasn't right. I was like, what else could she mean?
Then there's the moment. This is the thing to talk about.
Ooh.
Anticipating the moment is a big one.
Okay.
So how are you going to capture more moments in a wedding day? I want to say our biggest cull of having to cull through like our best documentary wedding ever. There were how many images?
1,000 images per hour.
Yeah.
And it was 12,000 some odd images.
Yeah. It was a ton. I was actually very impressed with us. Like when that happens, I'm like, dang, we worked.
Yeah.
You know?
were working. Yeah, we were. Like there was not one single transitional photo missed.
No.
Which we love transitional photos when we're storytelling because they really do. I don't know. You just don't miss a darn moment.
How do you
They're
get
beautiful.
transitional moments?
Being there for everything, not just your time to do portraits. You have to be ahead of everybody.
Like if you're moving, you're like, I'm going to race to beat you guys.
Yes. Like you have all of your bags and you're leaving a hotel, but you know the bride is following you. So you have to like race outside, throw your bag somewhere safe.
Get
and then
them getting
turn
onto
around.
the bus.
You got to set your exposure for harsh light all of a sudden. You know, it's chaotic, but you have to do it. And then
they're getting on the bus
at
this point, but you photographed that. Then you grab all of your stuff, sprint to the car.
Get to the venue before they do.
Get them getting off the bus.
Yep.
Get them walking
Up
into the
stairs.
venue. These are just transitionary moments that help to set the scene.
Yes.
And it makes things make sense versus in a gallery, just all of a sudden it's like, whoa, where are we?
Oh, yeah. And it's like the only time that you really get to tell like the temperature of the day and how the day looked.
Yeah. It's a really easy way to get in the mode of storytelling.
Yes.
When you're first dipping your toes into telling stories, getting those like scene setting images is kind of an easy, low hanging fruit to storytelling. But they're beautiful.
Yeah.
They're necessary. They help make things make sense.
The transitional photos? Well, and I was just going to add that they don't have to be beautiful.
No.
Like, this is where you get the cars. This is where you get this is what's going to date the images in like a documentary way. So
like they're going to look back at the pictures and their kids are going to be like, oh my gosh, look at the cars.
Yeah. What's that phone booth?
Or there's like a Quick Trip in the background or like a Buc-ee's or a Wawa's or something.
Like,
and
that's
they're like,
gone.
Wow. Or the branding is different.
Yeah.
Those are the really, really cool things that we don't want to
Yes.
be afraid of
Yes.
in those scenarios.
Those are really cool to look back on.
Yeah.
And you're really in your like, you're walking to get to your venue. So you're your truest self in that moment. Like
Yeah.
your bride is. So I love that.
And there's a lot of emotion and buildup in them, within that image. And they look back at it and remember the way that they were feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, you have to anticipate the moment.
Yes.
You're anticipating, I know they're going to be walking in,
Mm-hmm.
duh, right? But you're anticipating it. So you're getting into position and like running a little bit weird to make sure that you beat them there. And they're like going slow and you're like going as fast as possible to beat them. You're anticipating it. It's anticipating moments that make you capture important moments. Also, you can anticipate moments in ways of knowing every single wedding from patterns. There's a hug after a toast. So you anticipate, instead of being done and sitting down and resting while waiting for the other toaster to come on, you know naturally a hug comes. Maybe it doesn't, right? But 90% of the time the hug comes. So instead of diverting your camera, leaving it there when the toast is done and it's getting handed off, because there's going to be a hug.
Yes. I want to go to hug school.
What?
I want to figure out how to capture a hug well.
Okay. Yes.
It's like two pencils with arms wrapped in, and you don't see any reaction,
no
emotion,
faces.
So that's my not strong suit, guys.
No, I agree with you.
I did see. I think I was like looking through photos for Instagram posts, and I saw one hug, and I was like, "Wow, that is the best hug." And it was like the person's back was to the camera, and then you could see the other person's face completely. Usually, we're stuck with like the side, which is like their ears.
Yes. I totally agree. And you have to wonder, like, which face is more important?
Yeah.
Is it the couple?
I think it's the person.
Or is it the person? I think it's the person, not the couple.
I think
like
so
the toaster, whatever. Like their emotion is more important, I think,
Yeah.
from the couple's perspective.
So maybe that's our next wedding. We're gonna like try and like, you get that person, I get this person.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll compare.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll let you guys know in the next week's episode.
So moments, anticipating them.
Yeah, being ahead of the game. That reminds me, in timeline meetings, whenever you ask them what their favorite, like what they're most excited about, and really there's no rhyme or reason why we ask that, because we're obviously going to capture every exciting thing, God willing. But this will make us focus on that and highlight it and make sure that our composition is going to be on fire before the moment happens. So if they say first look, we're really excited about the first look. That's a normal one. Let me throw in another one.
Like a gift, like you're sharing letters.
Yes. So we're going to go all over town with our composition on that. Getting interesting, getting cool. We're not going to be stuck. We want to make that more exciting compositionally.
I completely agree with that. Back to whenever we were saying our like biggest, best documentary wedding, we shot 12,000 images that day. We average not 12,000 at every wedding.
No.
However, our best documentary work with the most emotions, I'd say there's like 10,000 or more images. That's like the best. If it's above 8,000, I'm like, we did a damn good job.
Yes.
That's like where my brain goes, right? Part of how we get there is not putting the camera down, like we've already talked about, anticipating the moments and shooting through it. So one of the downfalls to not quite shooting enough, and this is different than happily shooting and hoping you get it right.
Yeah.
This is
spray and pray.
Yeah. This is, I'm hoping in that exchange of a hug, right? I'm going to say that exchange of a hug for the toast. I'm just going to use that example again. I'm hoping in that moment to capture a really great emotion in there. So I'm not just going to take two and cross my fingers that one of them will work, or it'll just work, right? If you shoot 20 images of this interaction happening, everything is changing quickly. And you never know which one is going to turn out, because when you're photographing for documentary work, people are going to have double chins. Things are going to be unsightly. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's not. And you might get a better option. So shooting through them is really where you see the emotion and you see the hug, right? And this is the other part. Photograph pre-hug, during hug, and post-hug.
Yes.
The best moments happen, I feel like, after the fact of what you think is important.
Yes.
Cake cutting.
Yeah, I love. Oh yeah, I was just
afterwards is the best.
Yep. There's a lot of funny moments.
I do love cake cutting. I do
I
love
was
cake
just going to
cutting.
say after the hug, usually there's that sincere, you're so close to that person and you're still holding on to them, but you're looking at them with so much love. I just saw that in a wedding I called. It was the groom and the best man. And
Aw.
I was like, he held on for a little bit, not to the hug, but to like the arm on the shoulder.
Yeah, like a
Like a dad and the son.
cute.
Yeah, it was cute.
That
So
is
cute.
really cute. So shoot through it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Through it.
from beginning to end to afterwards until you can tell that moment has fizzled.
Yep.
And we're moving on to then a new moment. Another random moment that I just feel like should be highlighted that I don't know that everybody focuses on. And next week, we are going to talk more about second shooters and how they can help you amplify your moments. However, in the case of today, we're not really going to touch on second shooters, but with walking down the aisle at the end of the wedding, there are a couple of things that you anticipate as a photographer that happen that if you stay to photograph the people walking back down the aisle and just let the couple walk off by themselves, you're missing like a lot. There's like a lot of amazing, genuine emotion happening right after they get married and exit the aisle and go to like a private room.
I will say really quick, my favorite moments are that moment and the bride and groom as they're leaving, you capture like staying and watching them and like they're so excited they like kiss again. They like have the real kiss that they remember because it's not so crazy, you know? And they like are like, it's like a relief. And you can see all that. Just capture it. Turn around. Those are my favorite.
There's this image that Ashley took and it's in my brain. And it was after the wedding and it was they went behind this door to like celebrate privately while everybody else exited to get ready for like a confetti situation down some stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So the couple goes into this side room and Ashley shoots them in this teeny side room and you like see them beneath this crack, right? This is their moment. This is their love. This is for them. And you're literally just documenting it and witnessing it. It's not for you. It's totally for them. And they're just in this crack.
Who is it?
Phoebe and Colin.
Oh my goodness.
You remember, like it was back in a
Yeah.
little nook.
Not even like 4x4.
It was beautiful. And that was their moment. And that's the big thing about documentary is like, it's not for you, it's for them. And that is it was a beautiful composition using like the door as a frame. It was great. So there's those moments that are happening that we're missing if we just leave the premises because our quote unquote job is done. The ceremony's over. We're going to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Like just shoot through the day.
Yeah.
On that, you're not feeling the emotion with them.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. I was literally thinking, oh my gosh, I wonder if that point's ever going to get brought up because that reminded me of it.
Good.
Yeah. That just means that you should not feel any pain, any emotion, any happiness on the wedding day. I'm just kidding. Sorta. To an extent.
Sorta, but not really.
Sorta to an extent. Yeah. Like nothing should ever affect you. You're not even in it. You're not part of it. I'm sorry. You learn that if you're being an emotional with a couple that is having an emotional moment, you are missing the emotion. You have your camera down. You're like, oh, don't do that. Stop it. That has got to be the most annoying thing ever. And guess what? I am a criminal of that crime. Like I have done it because guess what? I'm like 80% of people that cannot stand silence and I need to get over it. So.
Well, there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Like A, you're not in that moment and your camera's down, but also B, when we like, aw, it's because we are trying to take away this awkward silence.
Yep.
But by awing, we're breaking their moment.
Yep.
We're interjecting ourselves in there. We're putting our hands all over their memory.
Mm-hmm. Your fingerprints got to stay off.
Yes. And like they will, and like I'm thinking of the first look in particular.
Yes, that's the most awkward moment.
Yes. It's great. The first look is great.
Yes.
It's the transition from the first look into photos.
Portraits.
Yeah. That's the part that they don't know what to do and when to do it. So beforehand, if you coach them, it can be a lot more comfortable for everybody involved. We want them to be comfortable all day. Like that's the goal. So by telling them, hey, this moment's for you. You guys don't rush at all. When you're ready, which can be in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like whenever you're ready, you can just give us the look.
Yes.
And when you like look, we'll know.
Yes.
And
can
that's when
sense
we'll
it.
break it.
Yeah.
So that's when to interject. And when it's like after coaching them and telling them, like, it's going to be okay if you have us intercept at that point. But other than that, you're breaking their moment. Or, you know, something cute between mom and sister, and in the background, you're like, oh, that's so sweet. And that makes them turn and look to you, which then takes them out of their moment.
Yes.
So you want to try to refrain from all of that, which is really, really, really hard.
Yes, it is.
Like, it is something you have to actively always try to do.
Yes. If one cue to like that you need in this to like interject, like let's say you're an assertive photographer that can like lead the way, you know, I would legit wait for the silence. Like you can see when people are needing help. Like a sister's going to put a bracelet on and she's like, I don't know how you want me to stand and things like that. Like you don't want people to be having all those questions. So you really have to look out for like how comfortable people seem.
I can assist them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like getting them into place and getting them where they need to be and doing what they need to do first and being like, all right, I've set you guys up. We're going to do this and this. You're going to do this and this. And then let them be for a minute and wait for the awkward pauses.
Yeah. When there's a pause, wait for like another pause and then go in.
Yeah.
Like let it
All
be
right.
a little, like make sure that moment has like subsided before jumping in. The last thing that we wanted to talk about is shooting through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Will you talk on that, Ashley?
Yes. This has a lot to do with the emotions of the day as well. We heard a really horror story about a bride that had a mom, and the mom and the bride did not get along all morning. So the photographer thought it'd be a great idea to probably not capture a whole lot of mom because mom was pissing that bride off. Like it was bad. And they were I don't know the extent of it. They probably didn't have a great relationship beforehand. And then when the bride received her photos back, she immediately asked, why isn't there many photos with my mom? Well, the photographer saw that those were ugly moments. They weren't highlighting anything beautiful. They were emotions that damn well you don't really like to look at on a wedding day. And maybe that photographer thought that those would be bad memories to come back up. Well, the photographer was wrong. And I think the way to handle a situation where maybe there are arguments, tension is to stay out of it. It's not your day. It's not your emotion.
And it's not yours to judge,
right?
Whether or not it's a good or bad, even if it feels bad. And also, like, I do think that there is a capacity of not shooting through it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if people are actively arguing, obviously that's really not something they want highlighted or remembered. However, if you just are anticipating that maybe they're not getting along, or you can hear they're not getting along, but they're maybe not fighting in that moment, still try to shoot through it. I mean, you know, use your best judgment, but at the same time, that day is so emotional for them, and you want to be able to deliver everything to them that you possibly could, that so they don't come back and wonder where that gap is.
Yes.
Or something you might think is ugly. I'm going to use like a groomsman mooned everybody. I don't know. I'm throwing this out of thin air, right? And maybe it made the bride upset in the moment. But you photographed it and then you're like, I'm not going to deliver it. I mean, at least photograph it, right? Photograph it. And then you don't deliver it. And then she's like, wait, that was like actually really funny. Like in hindsight, I want to remember that. Or a cake falls over.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want to photograph that.
Right.
Because I don't want her to remember the cake on the floor. But like future her might want that. And maybe you just don't deliver it.
Yeah. Or you ask. We've done that.
Yeah. Can you remember a situation where we've asked? Because I do know that we have done something and we'll send a message and be like, hey.
It was a couple on the party bus that had broken up.
Yes.
And it was very recent, like within weeks. And we were like, we don't know if we should deliver these images. How do you feel?
And she wanted them.
Yeah.
She wanted them. I remember another where there was, I hopped on the phone with the bride because there was a family member during family photos who was very uncooperative and didn't smile at all. She was very mad. This family member was very mad. And at me, actually, I'm just going to like throw out my mistake here. And she was very mad at me, this random family member, because I asked her to put her purse down. And I didn't do it as gently as I should have. And so I've learned, which is also why I'm sharing this, that I was shooting this wedding by myself. And that's, I feel like, also a whole nother beast because you have to manage all these people by yourself, and especially family photos. It's a ton of people. And I wasn't rude. I think I was just like, people were coming up and I was like, hey, sunglasses, like kind of like
streamlined it.
Yes. Like people are walking up and I'm reminding them of these things while we're trying to make family photos go quickly. And in my brain, I'm like, this is great. Like I'm making this efficient. And I was like, hey, sunglasses. And then she walks up and I was like, purse. And she like kept it in her hand. And I was like, your purse. And then she kept it. And I was like, ma'am, can you put your purse down? And the huff.
She's like, the audacity.
She was so mad at me. In hindsight, I should have been gentler about it, even though I was being, in my mind at the time, efficient. I have to remember that people remember the way you make them feel.
Would you like to put your purse down? No? Okay.
Yeah. It was what it was. Right?
Oh, yeah. I get that all the time with transitional glasses. I'm like, did I ruin your day by asking if we can see your eyes? Like literally, I'm like, sir, would you like me to see your eyes or would you not like me to see your eyes? I'm cool with whatever you want. Like now I do because I've got so many snooty grandpas.
Yeah, they don't like that.
No,
they don't like that.
And I'm like, they're like, I can't see. And I'm like, you don't have to see at this time.
No, yeah. I literally just need your eyeballs. You don't have to see me, but I have to see you.
But now I just ask. I ask if they want it. If they don't, that's their problem. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You just want to be gentle in your approach. So that's a random little tidbit of a mistake that I made. I just made her feel not incapable. I probably made her feel called out. Right. And so everybody knew I made her feel like she was doing something wrong, when she wasn't. She was just walking up with her purse and I just wanted her to put her purse down.
No.
I should have been gentler about it.
And you called the bride?
So I called the bride when I don't know if I was editing it or I was like near delivery. And it was just really weighing on me because it wasn't just that photo. She was in a few more photos where she continued to not smile. Like she was very still mad. Like she was doing it in spite of me. She was not smiling because she didn't want to cooperate with me.
Like in Candids?
No, in like other family photos.
Oh.
And then for the rest of the day, she also just continued to not talk very kindly of me, I heard through the grapevine. But everybody just kept being like, it was just family photos. Like, and I was just trying to be really nice to her and win her over, and it didn't work. But anyways, so I talked to the bride about it afterwards. So I was like, hey, can I talk to you? Whatever. And I loved her. And she called me and we talked. And I was like, and I blamed it on me. I was like, I think that I made this person upset. And I don't know how to handle these pictures. And I want to just let you know about it beforehand so that you don't see. And she's like, I already know. My parents told me all about it. She was like, it was so ridiculous. Deliver them as is. Because I was also like, do you want me to try to like photograph a smile on her, like, or edit a smile? Like, what do you want from me? Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh, it's her problem. She's like, she's the one who didn't want to cooperate and smile. But so that was in my brain an ugly thing that I didn't know how to handle. And it was just like, I got on the phone with her to be like, take responsibility because I obviously made her upset, and squash it and figure out what I could do to rectify it. And I also knew it wasn't like a massive deal, but I really didn't know what to do.
Right. And we're talking about situations that are involving people and emotions when we're talking about the ugly. But sometimes it's just like the things that are ugly. Let's talk about that. Aesthetics. And yes, maybe people just didn't have like a budget. A designer, maybe it's not your cup of tea. It's just an opinion, like you might not like that design style or whatever. You should not shoot any less. And you also need to make every wedding feel like the World Series.
Yes. Yes. Make every minor league baseball game feel like
the World Series. That's your job. So it should be a challenge. You should accept it and go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Go for those uglies.
Go for the uglies. And
Challenge yourself.
you never know.
Yeah.
You really never know.
Yeah.
Well, and also, this is like if the area is ugly because it's dirty. Ashley's worst nightmare.
Move around.
Move around.
Get
but don't
low.
not shoot it
Yes.
because it's dirty and ugly.
Yes.
Like, don't not shoot the moment
Yes.
because it's in an unsightly place. Because the moment is going to win over everything else every single time. If something ever happens to these people, because these, we've all heard it, these are some of the last photos ever taken of some people.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't want to skip out on the people solely because maybe it's not pretty or not good light. Those people, your couple is going to cherish the images that are taken
of those people. And this is why mingling, photos of couples mingling with their people is very important. I was just talking to somebody about this on a timeline call yesterday. I was like, you know what? When you want to have a really fun party and dance with your couple or with your friends and family, you're not going to get those like candid photos of people's faces, especially like older folks and stuff. So get your butt out there after dinner and take photos of people, talking to other people. They'll cherish them. And that's when you get the most hugs too.
With that said, that honestly wraps everything up.
Yeah.
If
we give more points now, we're going to lose out on a tire.
I know, for real. So to summarize, these are the points to think about when it comes to telling better stories with your images. Get up close. Have better composition. Raise that aperture.
To 5.0 or higher.
The moment. Shoot through the moment. Don't stop. Keep your camera up. Tell stories through layers.
Shoot through the good, the bad, the ugly.
And shoot transitions. That's kind of the encompassing of what we talked about today.
Yes.
Next week, we're going to talk more about how second shooters can help you and how you can equip your second shooter to allow you to get more moments in your galleries.
Yep.
So that's it, I think. It's weird because I can't like see you because the way that we're just like oriented. But
it's okay. We'll see you next time.
See you next week.
Bye.